Here's how much it's actually going to cost Apple to make the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Cost, we're talking about like basically what their margin is, basically how much they can generate in profit per unit sold. Apple has done so well at the supply chain mastery negotiations and having a profit margin that really is the envy of the entire industry, which is why can't we charge that much? Why can't we make that much? What's going on here? And we talked about Tesla, actually, speaking of it the other day, how their margins were looking real hot next to other companies getting into EVs. However, they've been doing EVs longer. But Apple, you know, they got that premium status. They got that customer base. And they got that negotiation power. When they go in, they say, nah, you know what? That little component right there, here's what we want to pay for it. And they just like got the hands going like that.
Master hagglers.
And then all of a sudden you see the owner of the factory, the company doing the manufacturing, like, gee, why you gotta squeeze me?
Shakedown.
Why you gotta squeeze me like that? Like, here's what we want to pay. Yeah, we know Samsung's paying that number. Here's what we want to pay.
Tim Cook.
We got a big order coming through. You take it or you leave it. Yeah. Or we'll leave the country entirely and we'll go get it done somewhere else.
That's what I find pretty impressive. To move from China to like India, Vietnam.
Well, I had a story about that. You probably didn't make it in because I was doing stuff.
Okay.
Like as far as reading was concerned, like I put in a session, sir.
Yeah, I saw. I posted a few.
So I don't know if this one made it up or not, but there is actually one story I found of one of the very specific complexities on a specific component that got moved to India. But anyway, that's neither here nor there, and we'll get there another day if you didn't make it to that one on this episode. No rush, Will. I don't want you to stress. Okay. I want you to stay very relaxed.
All right.
I want you to stay in the right state of mind, you know, that kind of meditative state that you're famous for.
Yeah.
So show us, what's it going to cost to make, or what does it cost to make an iPhone 14 Pro Max? Ooh, $464. What a margin. Let's go. Good Lord. It doesn't seem to bother anyone. Everyone's like, well, hey, man, they got to get theirs. $464, and that's the blended bill of materials. Now, keep in mind, it's at scale. They're ordering a lot of these materials, which brings that cost down. And this is for the 128 GB storage unit. So that would be your base model 14 Pro Max. And the base model 14 Pro Max, what is the MSRP USD? What's the starting price? So we can figure out their... Now, I'm going to guess that their margins go up as the spec goes up. So as you add things like more storage and so on. Is it $11.99, really? 1,200 bigs in USD? Yeah, I think you're right.
Seems like it.
$1,200 to start, and the cost to make it's like $460. They're making money. When you move millions of these units at that margin, and then people like they load up their device, and then they get all their services going, and then they got to get their AirPods, and they got their Apple Musics, and their iCloud storage because they only got the 128 GB model. Mm-hmm. Oh man.
Services as well.
Let's see. Apple's self-designed components have a larger share in the overall material cost of the iPhone 14 Pro Max than in that of the iPhone 13 Pro Max. So, like, we also know they're designing some of their own stuff now, and they're going to be able to save some money on that as well, right? Mm-hmm. They got their own chip. We're going to do our own modem. We're going to... didn't they even want to get involved in displays? I don't remember. Don't quote me on that. But they were trying to buy a display manufacturer. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But increasingly, they're bringing things in-house to improve these margins even further. Their self-designed components account for now 22% of the overall materials, which still leaves a gap there. And it goes to show you, and this is all thanks to Counterpoint, by the way. They do amazing work. But it goes to show you how... the tech segment is still relying on integration as a whole, where you're having inputs from this huge variety of suppliers. Mm-hmm. Even with everything Apple has done to move things in-house and increase the amount of in-house components, you're still looking at like 20-something%.
Yeah, very impressive.